Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and we have a breaking story out of the United States Senate. Lordy, there are tapes. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa took to the floor of the Senate just a little over an hour ago and made a stunning revelation regarding that FBI document that details what a confidential source told the Justice Department years ago about Vice President Joe Biden's dealings with a foreign country. And now we've learned that there could very well be audio tapes implicating the President of the United States. Let's hear from Senator Chuck Grassley.
Time on this Senate floor, I think I told my fellow senators that what's so unusual about an unclassified document being given to the public when, I think it was May the 18th of this year, there was leaked to the New York Times a classified document and even the name of a confidential human source. So we're kind of in a strange situation here. Classified document can be leaked to the New York Times, but a non-classified document can't be made public to 300 million Americans if they're interested in reading it.
Actually, it's more than just a curious situation, Senator. Understand what he's saying here. The FBI and the Justice Department, they leak classified information, even revealing sources and names when it serves their political purposes all the time to the New York Times and Washington Post and CBS and, well, you name it, certainly CNN. But in this case, the document that details exactly what this confidential source told the FBI about Vice President Joe Biden and his son and their dealings with foreign nationals is not a classified document. And yet the FBI, forget about turning it over to 300 million Americans, as the senator just noted, they didn't even want to turn it over to the members of the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. In fact, this document was only shown to members of the House Oversight Committee last week in a SCIF, in a protected environment, as if it was some sort of national security document. Unless it is a national security document, one that implicates the commander-in-chief. Let's take it back to Senator Grassley now.
Now, accordingly, Congress still lacks a full and complete picture with respect to what that document really says. That's why it's important that the document be made public without unnecessary redactions for the American people to see. Can you believe redacting an unclassified document? So now, let me assist for the purposes of more transparency on this subject. The 1023 produced to the House committees redacted reference that the foreign national who allegedly bribed Joe and Hunter Biden allegedly has audio recordings of his conversation with them. 17 such recordings. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 15 audio recordings of phone calls between him and Hunter Biden. According to the 1023, the foreign national possesses 2 audio recordings of phone calls between him and then Vice President Joe Biden. These recordings were allegedly kept as a sort of insurance policy for the foreign national in case that he got into a tight spot.
An insurance policy. 2 recordings out of 17 that are specifically with then Vice President Joe Biden. Again, this is a foreign national for the country of Ukraine, presumably, talking about a bribe scheme involving $10 million to the Biden family. That's $5 million to the big guy in this case, in exchange for the Obama administration modifying United States foreign policy to benefit the person paying $10 million to the Biden family. I don't know, kind of a big deal. Here's what you need to know. Senator Grassley has seen this document. He knows this to be a fact, and he knows that this is not a classified document. There's no reason why this shouldn't be made public. Here's another thing you need to know. Those members of Congress who saw this document last week, Well, they saw it just hours before a blockbuster story hit. I'm not sure you heard about it. It had to do with Donald Trump getting indicted over his handling of classified documents. Oh, actually, that's all you've heard about since the middle of last week. Curious timing that. Why is it the day Congress finally sees this document that apparently has damning evidence against Joe Biden, when the walls are finally closing in on the Biden family corruption, suddenly we get an indictment of Donald Trump? It's all starting to make sense now, isn't it? Let's throw it back to Senator Grassley.
1023 also indicates that then Vice President Joe Biden may have been involved in Bribery employing Hunter Biden. Based on the facts known to the Congress and the public, it's clear that the Justice Department, the FBI, haven't nearly had the same laser focus on the Biden family. Special Counsel Jack Smith has used a recording against former President Trump. Well, what is U.S. Attorney Weiss doing with respect to these alleged Joe and Hunter Biden recordings that are apparently relevant to the high-stakes bribery scheme?
Yeah, it's a good question. And let's just put this in perspective. The FBI has had this information for years. They've had Hunter Biden's laptop to corroborate the allegations since 2019. The raid on Mar-a-Lago was less than a year ago. Jack Smith, the special counsel looking into President Trump's handling of classified documents, was just appointed a few months ago. And now here we are, Donald Trump already facing arraignment in a federal courtroom tomorrow. But why has the FBI and the Justice Department moved so slowly, or not moved at all for that matter, with regard to Joe Biden and his family's dealings? I think we know why. So what have we got? We've got a crime, it appears, with not only an informant, but audio tapes to back up the informant's allegations. We've got an FBI and Justice Department at best dragging their feet, if not just looking the other way. And now we have a potential cover-up as the FBI refuses to hand that document over to Congress and their constitutionally protected oversight. We've got a crime, we've got looking the other way, and we've got a cover-up. So what can we do? Well, it's reached the point now where the Justice Department should be announcing a special counsel to investigate this, just so that we know that the Biden administration and Merrick Garland isn't putting their thumb on the scales. But they're not going to do that. So what's the next step? Well, Congress still has a role here. All of these items are impeachable offenses. And to that end, the chairman of the Oversight Committee in the House, James Comer, announced this evening that he has issued a subpoena. Let's take a look at it. This is a subpoena for a gentleman named Devin Archer. Who's Devin Archer? Well, he's the business partner of one Hunter Biden. The subpoena has been issued, and Devin Archer will now be forced and compelled to testify under oath to move this story along in the House. It seems like the next step moving toward an impeachment proceeding. Now, later on in the program, we've got Joe DeGeneva, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, to talk about the Trump indictment. And we also have Margot Cleveland, legal analyst over at the Federalist, to talk about the Biden crimes. Oh, and by the way, tomorrow night, we'll be live covering President Trump's speech after his day in court. There's more to come. Keep it here on O'Connor Tonight.